Hi everyone, it's Vampy Bat, and today I thought I would do a little watercolor speed paint and do that saucy little hand reveal for you guys that I promised last video. And this watercolor painting reminded me of a 30-second video of a painting of mine, and it kind of blew up on Instagram. I'm not a very popular artist, but I've had my fair share of gaining a lot of attention for my art for seemingly no reason. That video that I'm going to be talking about, honestly, to me, it's not that special, it's not that interesting, it's not that pretty, it's not that cool. It's one of my least favorite paintings, so it kind of confused me when it blew up. In this video, I'm going to be going through like part by part of my experience with having that video go somewhat viral on Instagram. For context, it had about 200,000 views and I gained around 2,500 followers just from that one video. Things I've posted before on both Instagram and other social media apps have done well and have like kind of blew up, but this time it was honestly more damaging to myself more than empowering. And I don't ever see anybody really talking about that side of things, and I figured that I should. This experience for me was kind of eye-opening to see how, you see internet fame and attention and you want that for yourself, but sometimes you don't actually know the harm that can come from it. So let's get into it. I figure I should start with the most obvious one. I got some hate comments. This is the one that everybody warns you about and to never read the comments and blah 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 blah. But I have gotten hate comments for other stuff, not art related before, so I'm pretty okay with dealing with them most of the time. But the hate comments I'm used to are about me expressing an opinion or like about something I've said. But this time it was hate directed at a video with soft music and me painting for 30 seconds. I really just didn't understand it, and how somebody could just hate something so normal and soft and honest to God kind of boring, and how they could be so angry about something honestly kind of a little bit meaningless to their everyday lives. I am used to coping with, the hate that comes from sharing your opinion online and saying things online, but I really wasn't ready to cope with getting hate for no apparent reason, and it was just honest to God awful and really, really strange. If you go back and look at that video now, there are no hate comments because either they've deleted them after I've commented back being like, what's your problem? It's just a watercolor painting video, or I've deleted them because personally, I just don't like looking at them. For me, my art is supposed to be something safe for me to express myself and just kind of have a good time, a good, wholesome, fun time. And I really couldn't have that if somebody was in my comment section saying that, like, oh, I'm only here for the music or some shit like that, And 100%, I absolutely recommend going that route if anybody ever gets any sort of hate comments, to just delete them. For some reason there's a weird thing where people are just like, that just makes them win, that makes the haters win. I've never understood that. This is not a winning or losing game. This is my art account. This is where people can come to feel safe. This is where I come to feel safe, and I don't want hate somewhere that I'm supposed to feel okay about myself. Also, blocking them means that they'll never be able to comment on your post again, and deleting the comment means that they won't get the attention that they seek from other people by replying, and they'll check out their page and, like, oh, they want to support the haters, check out the hater or something. And there's a lot of that. I've never understood it. However, deleting the comment just completely rids them of any sort of attention that they'll get from that. Anyways, I don't know how anybody found anger in a 30-second watercolor painting video, but moving on. Whoa! Among Us reference. Sick amount of when the imposter is sus. No, but actually, imposter syndrome is when something really good and successful happens to you, but you're left with this constant self-doubt and constant fear that something is gonna go wrong at any moment, and that you don't deserve the success that you clearly have. To me, 200,000 people seeing my video was absolutely terrifying. Nobody has ever seen anything that much before. Never have I gotten anything close to the amount of views that I got in that basically 1 week. I gained over 2,000 followers, and that was basically it tripled my follower account in a week. It was overwhelming, and it was very, very scary for me, who's never experienced that kind of growth before, especially on their art. And for me, it just kind of shocked my system, and it confused me, and it made me kind of believe that it wasn't real, that that wasn't mine, and it's never gonna stay there, and that I didn't deserve it somehow. And, you know, after going through this, I talked to some other artists about this, and they've said that they've experienced something similar, and it also made them feel like they could never post again. And it was just so scary that you couldn't live up to this one post that for some reason Instagram just went crazy for. However, at the time, I didn't reach out to anybody because at the time that I was, you know, gaining all of this attention, I just felt really, really alone, because I feel like if I talked to other artists about it, they would not understand or misinterpret it, or it would be seen as me subtly bragging or something, and I didn't feel like I wanted that on my reputation, and I would feel weird talking to my friends about that. It really didn't feel good, and I did have a lot of thoughts about completely deleting my account and restarting, because either I would never live up to that shitty little video I made, or people would hate everything else I made because it wouldn't live up to anything that I would make after that. And it kind of sucked because my paranoia and fears were completely validated, because Instagram just stopped caring about my account after this. For once, it kind of looked like it was, you know, getting better for me. People were seeing my art more. People were having my art on their Explore page and their home page more, because previously Instagram wasn't showing my art to my followers. And I was so excited about it finally getting better. And then slowly it dwindled, and it wasn't actually anything. It wasn't permanent, and nothing really happened after that. I'll be getting into this more in the third part. So I don't know really what to title this section other than none of it was really real. Every time I would come off a wave of immense popularity, there would be a steep drop of realization that what just happened won't happen to me again anytime soon. If I'm lucky, it happens once a year, and then I'm back to the same amount of likes and comments and interactions. It doesn't stay, and it never will. Especially in this case, I gained more than 2,000 followers due to this one video, but once again, nobody was seeing my stuff. I looked back recently at my analytics, and before that video was released, I had about 200 people seeing my art on their homepage, which is my followers, and after that, currently, only about 300 people are. That math doesn't make any sense to me, honestly, because you'd think 100 people is not close to 2,000 people, you know? And you'd think that gaining 2,000 new followers would help your account immensely, but it didn't, especially this time. It sucked. It really did suck, and it was kind of scary because it was just, I didn't know what I did wrong. And at this point, I still don't know what I did wrong. And honestly, I see this a lot with other creators, specifically on Instagram, and I don't see it as ever being really the fault of the creator. If you continue to make and create the same things that you got popular for, the social media app, specifically Instagram in this case, they don't care. This is a whole other box to unpack, specifically about Instagram and how little it actually cares for artists, and how little the algorithm actually favors artists and lets them be on the Explore page and all that stuff. But I'll just leave it at that social media, specifically Instagram, doesn't really care for artists. The way that Instagram sees artists is that they temporarily want to keep you afloat and use you until they no longer want you, and then they stop showing your art to your followers and stop showing it on people's Explore pages because you're no longer viable to them. They exploit you, basically. And This is just me explaining my experiences and how other people around me have experienced this type of like Instagram fame. For some people it really did change their lives for the better, but for a lot of people it did just make us feel incompetent and like we did something wrong when suddenly an app no longer favored us for literally no apparent reason. So yes, some of your favorite creators might have like 700,000 followers and all of them can see their posts and it's amazing for them. But for a lot of people who are very, very unlucky like myself, it really did not last and it just was a incredibly negative experience. And besides the whole Instagram hates artists thing, the audience that was brought in was mostly not very supportive people who didn't really care too much about me. I'm gonna explain that a little bit. So, to be direct, there were some nice people who were very nice to me and would like DM me, and they were very, very kind. However, there was a lot of people who were very entitled to art and were leaving genuinely rude comments and were not very nice to me at all. And it wasn't just on that one video, it was consistently on other pictures and stuff. There was some person that was giving me unsolicited advice, very, very rude, honest to God, obnoxious, and just wasn't a great time for me at all. The audience that I would have preferred to bring in over time would have been people who genuinely cared about my OCs and, liked common interests such as like video games and stuff and cared about my art. But since that just one video blew up, it brought in a whole lot of people who just weren't that way. And I really don't want to seem ungrateful in this section, but it was really just hard to stay positive about getting a whole bunch of attention when it feels like it'll just leave incredibly soon and that it'll just bring a whole bunch of people who hate me for no reason and I just have to go along with it. So this video doing well was a very weird and strange experience for me, and honestly I wouldn't want to go through it again even if it did gain me, a crazy amount of followers. Sometimes stuff like this can go extremely well, that's how a lot of extremely popular artists got their start, but for me it was the opposite of that. I felt like I would come off as ungrateful because a lot of people would love to have their art seen by hundreds of thousands of people, and I used to be one of those people. And I kind of expected my kind of like blow up video to, bring in some friends, a cool audience and stuff like that. But for me, that experience didn't happen and it just felt awful. And this is actually the primary reason why I don't really use Instagram anymore, if anybody was wondering. It's just because of this video blowing up and making everything else I post feel inadequate and awful. I really did just want to make this video to talk about this stuff because I honestly felt really alone when this was happening to me. So if anybody who's watching this has experienced this, you're not alone, and that's very important, is not feeling alone, especially in a time where you feel like you should be grateful for something, but it really just isn't the thing that everybody thinks that it is. And if any artists that are watching this, I want to make it very clear that internet like fame and attention doesn't always come in the ways that you might expect. For me, I thought this would be like my big break, something to lift me off the ground for everybody to see my art, and it would finally get me the attention that I deserved. But of course it wasn't, and it was just really damaging to me, and it made me feel really bad about my art for actually a long time. And I'm definitely not the first person to say this, but sometimes the internet is a very isolating and frustrating place that makes you hate and fear the thing that you love doing the most. So after this whole thing, I've temporarily stopped using Instagram and I've been primarily using Twitter to just stay away from feeling that way again. And I feel more in control with Twitter because not everything I post is a big deal, and personally it was easier for me to make friends and create a space that felt welcoming for myself again. Anyways, deep breath. I hope this wasn't too depressing. I have definitely had times in the past where the attention that I got didn't lead me into a horrible spiral of sad, But I thought I needed to share this little story and address it because nobody else seems to want to talk about it. And I thought that it was very important because I felt really lost and kind of scared and alone and with nobody to talk to, really. On a lighter note, I have had times in the past where my artwork has done well, and there have been people that I've met through my artwork getting on like the Explore page or Instagram promoting it slightly. Never to the extent of this. This was crazy for me. So yeah, it definitely does happen in ways that you would kind of expect blowing up, doing really well on Instagram to happen. So it does happen. This case where things went really, really well, I'm putting that in quotations, it wasn't the experience that I expected. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my silly little watercolor painting and my silly little story about how Instagram tried to kill me. Okay, subscribe, bye!